Hey guys, my name is Christina. I'm one of Andrew's friends. I'm about 20 years old, and today I want to share with you guys my testimony and how I met the Lord. I said yes to Him and how I never looked back from that moment. I suffered a lot with depression, self-harm issues, suicidal thoughts, and how God really saved me and He met me, and how I built this history with God that has now allowed me to pretty much go through anything, and I mean everything, at only 20 years old, and still just know about the faithfulness of God, and still there be so much left to Him, and excited to learn so much more about Him. But at this point of my life, just to share with you guys how He has healed me in so many ways. And so I'll start with at about the age of 13, around the last couple of years of middle school. You know, it's a really weird time for a lot of people, and even for me. That's when I started to get into some really bad depression, just really bad. And for me, it was just no reason at all. Everything was fine in my life. I had a great family, great life. And I was known as one of the most funniest people ever. Maybe I'm exaggerating it. Maybe I'm the only one in the house. But I thought I was pretty funny. And just this bubbly, happy girl in school. And as soon as I would come home and I would close my door, just this wave and rush of sadness, of depression, of not even being able to get up out of bed, no motivation. And I was really confused, and I settled with it a lot, and I just sat because I didn't know what to do. I never heard about it. I'd never heard other people going through it, and I just thought there was something wrong with me. And so I had to deal with that around the end. I started with it at the age of 13, and it started getting really bad where I would hurt myself. And some people will know about this. We don't really talk about this, but that was a really big thing where it came from thoughts of you're worthless. You're not going to accomplish anything in life. You're just a small little black girl. Just so many of these thoughts that filled my mind that caused me to hurt myself because I didn't see a point in life. I didn't know what the point of life was. And it was so crazy because I couldn't tell anyone. No one knew this about me at that time, and it was just starting out. So I was growing up, I was developing around the thoughts of you're worthless. And it came from nowhere. It came from these thoughts, these evil thoughts that come, which if we put a name on it, like a chemical imbalance, right? That is telling us what we put a name to it of what that is. But honestly, I think it's very evil, and it comes from an evil place that we come when we listen to these thoughts, and then we sit with them and we allow them just to dwell, and we move out of that place. But it's very evil, and it actually comes for people just to not live in purpose, and that's what was happening to me at that time. Fast forward, I move and I start high school, and I'm still dealing with these things. And even in this time, I grew up in the church. My family, my mom and my dad, they got saved when they came to America, and I grew up my whole life in the church, and I was that girl in the back that sits by herself. I knew a lot of people, I knew everyone. I had friends, but I was just so there was duct tape over my mouth. That's the best way that I could describe it. I just couldn't speak. I didn't know how to ask for help, and I tried to cling on to any bit of hope that I could, but I didn't know how to. So I was just quiet. And so I'm going to church every Sunday to make my mom happy. I even go to church Fridays. My mom was in the choir, and I was going literally just so hopeless. I didn't want to be there at all, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just literally, as at the age of 15, so when I'm starting high school around that time, I would go to my mom with her to church on Friday nights. And as I'm walking to the church, I literally hear voices telling me, go in front of that car, go in front of that car, you should kill yourself. Literally when I'm in the midst of services, I hear voices telling me, go to the nearest parking lot and fall off. wow, this is so like crazy to talk about this. Like I don't think I've ever really told like the depths of this stuff, but yeah, that happened in the middle of services, in the middle of conferences, literally voices telling me to go and kill myself. And it was very, very, very low time because I was so young. I didn't have any help. I didn't know what was going on. And yet there was this one person in my life that did know. And I remember he told me something so important when he noticed that there was something wrong. There was something like more than usual. I was more like there was something wrong with Christina. And he took me on these set of stairs in our church. And he told me the enemy doesn't waste his time on anyone. He clearly goes and he attacks dangerous people who are gonna do something purposeful in this life on this earth. And so why would he waste his time on you, And I remember hearing that as a young girl, and that really resonated with me to kind of view life and like I'm not gonna let the enemy just use me as a playground. I'm not gonna just let him speak these things. And then with the thoughts and stuff like that, you're like, okay, so how did this all leave? But at that time, I just remember like holding that in the back of my mind, and I'm still struggling with these things. All of high school happens, right? I'm struggling. It's getting, year after year, it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse until in my junior year of high school, I take a trip with my friends in the church. Like all of us, some of them are graduating high school, and so we wanted to do one last big thing with everyone. And so we rented a beach house in Virginia, and we all went. It was about 13 or 14 of us that went, and we stayed there for a week, and we were all like, guys, we have this big mansion. We got here safely, and we didn't even thank God for this place. Tonight we're not gonna pray. We're not gonna go to sleep, and we're just gonna pray. And so we get there, and it's about Tuesday, and then we're about to pray, and I'm telling you, we were just like, I was 17 at the time, and everyone else was about 18, 19. We're not pastors. We're not anything special. Some of us were worship leaders. Some of us were leaders in the church, like in the youth group, but we weren't anything special. We were just kids. We were just young people. And I could say that we just loved God. And that night we prayed, and it was one of the most craziest nights of my life. And when I say like, people were like just crazy encounters with God. Like I don't have words to like describe of what actually happened. Like I'll share one testimony. Is one of our friends, he had epilepsy, and it was so bad to the point where like if he didn't take his medicine, he would have to go to the hospital and have lots of seizures. And that night he got healed of epilepsy. Another testimony is, I remember one of my friends, he was in a room, and the glory of God was so heavy that I hear him yelling, like yelling and yelling, like the presence of God was so deep in that one room. One of our friends was being healed of just insecurities, like individually God was meeting with us individually, and we were praying over each other, and we were like just loving on one another and just praying for one another as brothers and sisters. And for me, I was just in the corner looking at all of this with my friend who was playing guitar as we were worshiping, and all of these encounters with God in this big random house in Virginia. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like I'm seeing my friends like laying hands on one another and being delivered and being saved, and I'm just like sitting in the corner of this house like, what is going on? And then I hear a voice from the Lord to say, go to the bathroom. Mind you, I've never had an encounter with God. I've grown up to church my whole life, but I've never heard the voice of God. And I hear a voice telling me to go to the bathroom, and I'm trembling, like I'm like shaking so like profoundly. And then I listen, because of course I can't just hear that and just continue sitting down. And so I go, I go to the bathroom and I'm like walking in the midst of like my friends laying hands on one another, praying, casting out demons. It's just all of this stuff. And I'm walking and I'm going to the bathroom and I close the door and I'm like, so now what? And I just stand there and I look up and I hear literally, like I hear, like, you know, in a colosseum, like back in the day, what are they called, like in the Greek, back in like the Greek times where people would like have like war, or they would like fight and stuff, and there's like an audience like this. Like literally I look up and I just see angels sitting like that, and they're like, yeah, ooh, yeah, and they're just like just shouting and just like so happy, and they're just like, whoa, yeah. And I can't even like move because I'm just like, oh my God. And the Lord was showing me how heaven was rejoicing because God's children were entering into their purpose. Meaning like they're being awakened. Yes, they're being awakened. They're standing up. They're prophesying. They're having faith. They're believing. They're doing what I've called them to do. And I was just like, wow, like they're having a party right now. And I mean, like, not at that time. I was literally just like, wow, until someone like was rushing, and literally my other friend that was in the presence of God in one of the rooms, like he was literally coming to the bathroom to throw up. And so when he came, I was like I was able to leave, and I was just like, wow, like the things that I saw that night forever marked me. And I came back from the trip and I came home and I told my mom everything that happened to me. And then I remember we went to the grocery store right when I came back. When I came back from the trip, we went to the grocery store to buy some groceries, and I just got a journal. I remember we, you know, in the grocery stores where they have like puzzles and magazines and like what else do they have, like just journals, like coloring pencils and stuff like that. I remember we passed by that aisle and I just found this, not like this really ordinary journal. It's like, I'm gonna take this seriously. I want to actually have a relationship with God, you know. And I didn't have a crazy encounter like my friends. Well, kind of I did, but like just I was literally in the corner, and it really was like a decision that I made. I feel like people can have so many like encounters with God, but it's really up to us to say yes to Jesus. That I want to surrender everything, all of these desires that the world may try to offer me, this way of living, but I want to surrender all of that, and I want to live unto Jesus. And that's what happened to me in that grocery store. And I bought that journal, and I met with the Lord every single day. And you know, I still had bad days. I still had days where depression were really bad. But I believe when God heals us, it's like there's levels with Him. And it's like He's taking you on this staircase. And, you know, on days where depression were really bad, He was teaching my fingers forward. It says that in Psalms. He was literally teaching me how to fight this thing. And so I remember on days where I couldn't get out of bed, the Lord was with me. God, Emmanuel, God that is with us. You know, He's the greatest gift. He's the greatest gift ever. He's the greatest gift. And with that greatest, like, gift that we have, we're now able to fight the evilest things of this world. You know, and for people who battle depression, people who battle suicidal thoughts, people who battle self-harm issues, you know, there's nothing wrong with you because you were made in the image of God. God loves you. He has a purpose for you. And he doesn't want you to settle. You know, sometimes now, I remember I was in a dance class once and we had to be in a circle and we had to ask each other, like, am I able to touch you? Because, you know, some people who may have gone through like sexual assault, you know, like just it was a class where we were like learning to dance with one another. And so, you know, sometimes based off what we may go through in life, we have to be wary of, oh, you battle with depression, like, I'm sorry, I will, like, like trigger warnings, kind of. And I'm not trying to neglect that. I'm not trying to neglect the things that we may go through in life. But God really doesn't want us to settle. He does not want us to settle in the things that trap us, the things that keep us in bondage. Because at the end of the day, this does not allow me to walk free. But for freedom, Christ has set me free. So these things that keep us in bondage, let's not settle. There's an answer, and I'm not saying like to neglect that. I'm not trying to neglect the things that may have happened to us and really bring us down. God, because sometimes Christianity may do that to us, right? Christianity wants us to blind us from the world's problems, tries to blind us from reality, but God is not saying blind your eyes to racism. God is not saying blind your eyes to politics. Don't blind your eyes to the problems of the world, but acknowledge them with Christ. Bring it up to the light of Christ and do them with the Lord. And I'm telling you, there's full freedom in that. There's full healing in that. I'm not saying depression might creep up the next day, but I'm saying He's going to be with you, and He will allow you and teach your fingers to like He will teach you. That's a verse in Psalms, so He'll teach you and He'll be with you in the midst of that, and you will be the overcomer that He's called you to be. And so from that day in the grocery store where I bought that journal, every day I met with the Lord. Every single day. I remember I met with Him at the apartment me and my family were living in at that time, and I met with Him in the patio when I came home from school. And those were the most beautiful, beautiful, moments with God. I was so young, and I didn't know. I was so untainted. The Lord wants us to come with Him untainted. Not coming with Him. I know all of these things. I remember, God had to really erase everything that I knew. What did love look like? What did a real relationship look like? What did peace look like? What did joy look like? Joy didn't look like what I see on Instagram stories. Joy didn't look like He had to really just erase. I had to erase all of that, all of what the world taught me, what love looked like, all of that stuff. And He had to teach me, from the very beginning. And so, man, it was a rough time. And so, in that time, depression would still creep up. I would sometimes still hear thoughts of, there's no point of living. Why am I still? That still comes up today even. But when I say God has healed me from depression, He's healed me from suicidal thoughts, He's healed me from self-harm, I'm not saying they don't come back, but I'm saying I now have the overcomer, and I've overcame these things that try to bond me because of history with God, life with God, and what He's taught me through His word that is alive. And so, yeah, Jesus is good. Jesus is so sweet, and really just to encourage whoever is out there that, even in this pandemic where the church is gone, community may be gone, we're distant from one another, but that God wants to meet you. Oh my God, how He's head over heels about you. Head over heels. And that's why when we leave our homes and we leave the comfort of our houses, the comfort of our rooms where the presence of God may be in there or may not be in there because we didn't invite Him. And when we go out, or we can't even go out, but when we just leave the presence of God, the world will just rush in the world will rush in all of the ways of the world and all of the lies and darkness that may come. And that's why He needs people that are eyes focused on Him. He needs people that will look to Him and that will lead you to truth. And so God wants to meet you. He just needs people that will look for Him. He doesn't need people like Martha that will look all over the place and try to make things look cute and, display things. But He needs people like Mary that'll sit at His feet and be content in that because He's there. And that's the greatest gift ever. So I hope this blessed you and to encourage you to keep running this race. To keep running with everything in you. To not crawl, to not walk, but to run this race for the Lord. Yeah. Be blessed. Bye.